to commas.
Commas is all things tech.
Culture and technology coming together.
Life hacks.
The practicality right now and the inefficiency of the internet of buying and selling stuff is extraordinary.
Entrepreneurship advice.
I think the first thing is you got to understand your business inside out.
Love and tech.
I've almost reduced dating to kind of this very momentary snap of a person.
It's gonna be a fire show.
I have yet to see something these days that's truly differentiated.
New advice and new inspiration every show.
This really is about the next generation of creatives going faster, further than we did.
And now, Sequoia Blodgett.
Now let's start stacking them commas.
You all know Spectacular Smith. He sold millions of records with his group Pretty Ricky. He can be seen on Love and Hip Hop Miami, but what you may not know is Spec also owns a multi-million-dollar social media marketing platform. He's currently on tour and stopped by the Comma Studios to tell us all about his new company, Adwizar.
Entrepreneurship advice. Learn from the hottest and most successful investors, founders, and innovators in the game.
Determine your greatness.
It's time to get your knowledge up.
Okay, for sure.
So what's poppin'? Sequoia, CEO, founder of Commas, and
Spectacular.
what's poppin'?
So
I'm super excited to have you in the Commas Club, chilling. First and foremost, tell me a little bit about what you have currently going on with Adwizar.
So we pretty much help aspiring talent and personality brands tell their story to the world and become famous, and we do it through giving them access to celebrities and influencers. We give them their own expert team of social media analysts to account managers to social strategists. So we give them a whole team that's pretty much valued at $100,000 a month.
Jesus.
For a fraction of the price.
Well, okay, you got to dive deeper into that. So when you say a whole team, so I come to you and I'm like, yo, my is not popping. Then what?
Right. So everybody don't qualify because we turn down way more people than we actually bring on board.
Okay.
So it's basically a process that you got to go through to even qualify for the actual program itself.
Okay.
So once you come, we would have to look at your social media feed. We take you through a couple hurdles to make sure you're a good fit for us and we're a good fit for you, because the last thing we want to take on somebody and we're just not a good fit. So
right, what makes me a good fit?
First thing first, you would have to be a person that's open to change. Some people think that they know how to grow a social media, or they are failing at it, and that's why they're coming to Adwizar, because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Right.
They don't have the time, they don't have the team, they don't have the resources,
right.
They just don't have the capacity.
Okay.
And we'll tell them certain things and they, well, I don't know about that, or it's a lot of things that make people follow you. That if you're not willing, like I'm gonna give you a couple examples. Like if your screen name is not the same, your username is not the same on all your platforms.
Wait, what does that do? Because mine is definitely not.
Right. So what that means is people know how to find you. So when they want to just go and type, like everything of mine is I Am Spectacular. So if you go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, is I Am Spectacular. All your profile pictures the same. Right? You could probably rotate one or two, but it's good to have everything the same. So they're connecting with the name and the face.
Okay.
Right? And
all your profile pictures the same?
Correct.
Yikes.
Right.
I'm doing everything wrong.
and then you have to have your bio. Your bio have to make somebody want to follow you. Like it has to look presentable. Everything matches. So the profile picture from the username to the bio. Okay. And then the next thing comes is the actual feed. So if you have everything aligned correctly, then that would give somebody, it will make somebody want to follow you even more.
So like, what do you suggest in terms of like a bio? Because you like have a sentence, maybe two. So what's like, you suggest like keywords, buzzwords, like what do you suggest in terms of?
Yeah, I just suggest highlight points. Whatever your highlight points. So if you look at my bio, I have Inc. 5000. I made Inc. 5000, so I put that in there. So that was credibility. Then you have Forbes. I have the Forbes article in there, so that's more credibility. So if they want to read up on a company, they can without me having to tell them, oh, go here or go there. They can just click on it, just be nosy and read. The next thing would be just what you're involved in. So like CEO of commas or founder of commas. Just the main thing that you're involved in, and then you can have like a summary of who you are. So author, artist, entrepreneur, whatever, and have that breakdown. And I like to put the emojis on the side to start off with that, just so you have like some type of personality.
Okay, so make it fun.
Make it fun and make it appealing. So if you just got a bunch of words going and it look like a block, a big sentence.
People are like, okay.
Yeah, people read by lines, line by line. So if you give them a whole block to read, some people are like, I ain't reading all that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you break it down, if you break it up, it makes everything way easier.
So what do you think in terms of links?
Links, I just feel like whatever you have the most credibility on. If you don't have any articles or anything about yourself, then you can just put either it's my URL and have the breakdown of all your social media. So it'll have your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram, your bio, your booking, whatever you have, and you click it and you got everything in one spot. I think they have something new now called, I think it's like LNK.tree or something like that. I don't know. It's something else that took the it's my URL position in the market. So it's like a new one now that everybody's using. So it's my URL is the old version now. We got the new thing now. But I haven't used it because I like my Forbes article.
You like that statement. Thank you. So what do you think in terms of, because obviously you want a certain type of picture to match your brand. Like, what do you think in terms of like the photo? How important do you think that is?
Yeah, the photo is everything has to match on what you want your voice to be. So if you want to look like a professional, you want somebody to take you serious, you can't have, just your butt with a thong on it and an avatar.
You're like, here we go.
Exactly. So whatever you're presenting yourself as, that's what your actual bio picture should look like.
Got you. And then what got you into Adwizar? Like, what made you say, okay, this is something I want to pursue as like a business?
Well, it all started off from me just wanting to make extra money and conquer something else. I'm a self-mastery type of person. So when I got a call knowing that I can actually make money off of Twitter, I was like, that sounds like the easiest thing in the world. I'm over here in the studio all day and dancing on stage and dealing with the politics of the music industry, and I can sit here and just make money off of tweeting. I was like,
you're like, I'm doing that actually.
Sign me up. So once I actually started it, I actually tried to figure out as many ways as possible to grow a massive following at scale. And what I came up with was parody accounts or fan accounts. So whatever I can come up with to make it grow as fast as possible. And I couldn't split myself up in 100 pages. Spectacular emotions, spectacular feelings, spectacular quotes. Like it wouldn't move like that. So I created different parody accounts. So Cat Williams, Will Ferrell, Angelina Jolie, Jay-Z, Eddie Murphy, Jim Carrey, whoever was hot. And I felt like would have a massive following that would want to follow them in their voice, because a lot of these celebrities don't have time to really entertain. All they want to do is post about the new movie coming out. Or if you're an artist, you just want to post about your music. You don't want to post about trying to be funny. Like that's what they pay you for, to come see you or go watch the video. So I basically just took that problem that their fans wanted to see, connected it with their face and their voice, and gave them what they wanted as fans. Like, if I'm following Will Ferrell, crack some jokes, make me laugh. I want to laugh. That's why I love you, because you're funny. So crack some jokes.
Wait, so were then you creating all the content for these voices? Wait, hold up. But then how, was it a conflict of interest? Not a conflict of interest. Was it a conflict? Because you're not the true voice.
It wasn't a conflict because I was making their brand bigger and better and engaging on social media. So at the end of the day, I actually was helping their brand. It was to the point where they was messaging Will Ferrell like, you need to be like this Will Ferrell. And he would love that.
That's dope.
Yeah, sometimes they would even follow the parody pages.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. So then what parody page blew you up?
Grumpy Cat.
Okay, tell me about that.
So Grumpy Cat is this cat I just randomly seen a video on YouTube, and I was like, oh, this is the perfect cat. And I was like, this should be like a meme or something. And I created the first meme. You know, I had fun one day. Okay. And it was horrible. Okay. And he had the little grumpy face. Oh no. Yeah. So everybody loved it, fell in love with the cat, and the actual cat itself actually took off. And with the actual page grew to 1 million followers, but the cat took off. The physical cat took off, and now he's in Macy's Bird.
Wait.
Yeah, he has.
But you created him?
I created him.
Did you get your residuals?
Not at all.
What?
So now that's what happened. I'm not falling for that twice. But yeah, so if anybody see that damn cat, tell him he owe me some money. But yeah, he's worth $100 million right now.
No, what?
Yes. It's worth 100. All I got was a Twitter page.
Stop it.
He owed me some money.
What? Oh my gosh. So how do you then leverage your current, so you said you have now these audiences of celebrities. Do you do anything with normal everyday accounts or?
Yeah, so we first started off, so I started off in Twitter. I grew my accounts from 0 to 6 million, Grumpy Cat to Will Ferrell's and all that. Then I had a conversation with Sean Kingston and Soulja Boy bragging about their followers. Soulja Boy like, oh, I got 5 million. Sean Kingston like, well, I got 6. You need to catch up. And I'm like, well, how much followers y'all have on Twitter? And it was like, well, I got 1 million. I was like, so you're the same person, same brand, same everything, but it's time 5 more viral on Facebook. I was like, well, I need to get on Facebook. So I was
wait, why is that?
I mean, it's just the algorithms that they have on Facebook is more. You can go viral more
easily.
What is it called? Virality?
Yeah, virality. Yeah,
whatever. But yeah, so pretty much, it's way more viral on Facebook. So the way the platform is set up, you can actually go viral way easier because it's sharing and the news.
Right.
It's way in the algorithms, and you reach more people. So this is, I guess, it's just way better that way. So I asked them, was they monetizing? They was not monetizing. I was like, never mind. So I went home and I basically just I started building on a model. I took the same exact methods I was doing with the Twitter accounts and took it to Facebook, but started doing it with my own group, Pretty Ricky page. So at the time we had no followers, and I merged all the fake accounts together. We ended up with like 400,000 followers from all the fakes. Got it verified, and I felt like if I can do this with fake accounts, pretty much the fake accounts, fan accounts, role-playing accounts, I can actually do this with a real verified accounts. Like Pretty Ricky, we sold 11 million records. Pretty sure we can find some fans out there. And that's not including the bootleggers. So I know we went quadruple platinum in the streets.
Seriously.
So I basically took my same methods and formulas that I used for Twitter, and I basically did it for Facebook, and I grew the page all the way up to 4 million followers within a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I generated $250,000 in ad revenue. So
whoa, stop. Back up. You can't just skirt over that. Tell me exactly what that process is. So
it's basically the same advertisers and the same methods from advertising on Twitter. I basically took it to Facebook. But
how are you getting access to those advertisers?
So it was a platform that I was using that had a bunch of advertisers already.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So all I had to do was just plug and play the link. So they had ad stories. So an example is Pretty Ricky have 80% female demographic. So we will post things like 8 ways to know your man cheating on you. Or how to know when you're in a toxic relationship. Or things like that. And all the ladies would click on it. And once you actually go to the actual website, we would have ads sold against the traffic that was coming in. So now we get to monetize that with the different advertisers that's broken down on the actual website.
So that's so crazy. Like, how did you learn all that?
I don't know. I just figured it out.
Just trial and error?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm good with building things. I'm good with, like I say, self-mastery. Like, I hated school.
I hated school.
Yeah, I hated school. I actually asked my brother to take my test for me to pass high school. Because in Florida, they got something called FCAT.
He cheated.
Hold on. Actually, I didn't cheat. So, because he turned me down. Right? Okay. And Baby Blue, too. I hope you're watching this. He told me no.
He cheated.
He told me no. And he forced me to take the test by myself. And I passed it. I actually was like top 10 of the whole school, my math score. And, and I don't know how I passed the reading. When I found I passed the reading, I was like, what? I passed the reading test because I just hated tests. It wasn't the fact that I was dumb or anything.
Right.
School was just boring to me.
I think that's a good point, though. I think now, because you have a son, now with kids too. So now with kids coming up, like, do you think the way the traditional school is like laid out, do you think it's no?
It's absolutely horrible.
Right. So what do you think the new solution is?
I think the new solution is coming up with another type of school system, even if it's like an entrepreneurial school.
Draper University.
Or we can do something where it's a curriculum that's in school that they can actually take and really learn something.
Right.
So like even my oldest son, he's 12, and I would have him read for 30 minutes and have him write out everything he learned from the book. So you can't
know that he's retaining.
You can't even BS me on
right.
what you read. Write it down. And when you hear what he's picking up from what he's reading from the books I'm giving him, you're like, wow. Because I don't know how many successful entrepreneurs that I encounter, or that's my associates or my friends or whoever, they say, man, if I would have knew this 20 years ago, 10 years ago.
That's real.
So now the kids are our future, so we got to groom them up now. And just give them that right curriculum that they can really become successful and become somebody important or special that's going to help other individuals. Because now you're getting more and more millionaires. Now becoming a millionaire is really not.
It is not. I'm like,
anymore. You
can do anything to make money.
Right. So, but that just shows that you just got to apply yourself.
Right.
It's out there. And that's why the new Gen Zs are like killing it. You're seeing 17-year-old millionaires, 18-year-old millionaires. Snapchat dude's a billionaire. He didn't even crack 30 yet.
That's crazy.
And everything is on the internet. Like a lot of times when I ask people certain things, I always think about it. It's like, well, it's on the internet, right?
That's true.
If you want to learn how to do anything you want to do is on Google or YouTube.
Right.
It's on your whole tutorial on what you need to do.
It cracks me up when people are like, hey, Sequoia, I need to do it. I'm like, did you Google it? I'm like, it's right there.
Whenever you want to do something, just think Google.
Right.
And YouTube.
Y'all got that. So going back to non-traditional, so I went through Draper University, which is like a entrepreneurship boot camp, right? And we went through this process of basically learning how to build a startup, like from start to finish. Like, how do you validate the customer? How do you go out and generate revenue? Like, how do you raise capital? Like, all those things. I think personally, that is where school needs to go in terms of just like practicality, right? Like, I've never used trigonometry.
Waste of time. You're wasting my time.
Right.
Right. And as a kid, your time is still precious too. So for you to take me through a whole 12 years of school for me to only know how to type, like,
which I already know how to do because now kids are like born on cell phones.
They're speed typers. They one hand talking to you typing. Like, these kids are amazing. These kids are amazing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So I just like my one of my friends, Andy Fazilla, he has a kids entrepreneur book.
Really?
Yeah, okay. So you could check him out. I think I bought my son every time he come out with one, I buy it. But yeah, so it's basically an entrepreneur book that you can actually read to your toddler and just get his mindset ready. And then when they get older, you can start getting them on the right books and things like that.
That's fresh. So what's going on with the group?
The group?
Yeah.
Some of everything.
Yeah. I've been seeing y'all a little bit on Love and Hip Hop Miami. How's that going?
It's cool. Actually, in a few days, we go do the Love and Hip Hop reunion.
Damn, that was quick.
Yeah. But I think they pre-record everything.
Of course, yeah. So what was that experience like for you, though? Because I know that you guys are kind of like still getting back together and like having that whole like, what was it like?
I mean, honestly, I've been doing this type of stuff since I was in 3rd grade.
You're like, all right, cool.
Like, well, yeah.
Come document.
It doesn't even matter to me, right? A lot of people are like, well, how would it feel? And I was like, how would it feel? I don't even think about that type of stuff. So to me, it's just normal because I've always been in a situation where I had to either perform or entertain or be on TV. Just whatever. So,
but like that's a different type of TV, though. Like, let's be completely transparent.
Because they made it about the group.
Right.
So when we doing the TV stuff, it's like we're just being us with a camera right there.
Right, okay.
So when Slick being crazy and Diamond yelling at everybody and Pleasure being nonchalant, it's like that's our everyday.
That's who you are.
Yeah, that's who we've been forever.
Yeah.
So it's just the camera just catching up.
Right.
So it's whatever. It's all TV stuff.
It is all TV stuff. But let me ask you this, because now I see with social media, now even networks are leveraging like social media stars, right? Whereas back in the day, you had to go get an agent, you had to go to auditions. Now you just build your following, and they're like, "Yo, what's good? We have this new whatever," right? How do you see that playing out?
Well, I think influencers are the future.
Yeah,
I think they're the future because the amount of money you spending to get the type of engagement that you're getting, you can't buy that nowhere.
That's true.
So I was with one of my guys, Kamar. He's an investor. He was one of the investors on Hustle, LeBron James show on CNBC.
Okay.
And basically he was saying that the TV show got 500,000 views and ratings from the show. Well, he was like, I could get one influencer to post something and get that same amount of eyeballs on one post.
Right.
So now we're looking to do our own reality show for a digital version for CNBC or whatever network picks it up. We don't want to just commit to anybody. We want to actually see what everybody talking about, but we know for sure it's going to get picked up.
Do you think you need networks now?
I think TV is powerful.
Okay.
I mean, look at Cardi B.
Yeah, but I will say, I didn't jump toward Cardi B until it wasn't from Love and Hip Hop.
I feel that Cardi B, it was a formula, right? The formula is social media. All right, cool. You funny.
Right.
Then the next thing is music. Okay, she got music. Okay.
Yep.
Then the next thing is TV. Now you're a star.
But you also know the story.
And then and then once you're on the TV, you're more of you have star appeal, and now you get to see the whole personality play out. And like you said, back to the story. So now you fall in love with the character because Cardi B is a culture. She's the type she's what people want to say, but nobody says it.
Right.
And I think that's why people love and hate Trump, because he just showed you who he really is.
Right.
Like you hate him for what he's saying. But honestly, half of the things that he would say, some people would really say it, but not say it.
Right.
So I think the same thing with Cardi B. She just really speak her mind, and she speaks for the culture.
Yeah.
In some type of way.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Connect with it.
I think that's an interesting thread. It's like you have the social media platform. It's almost like TV validates it.
It does.
Right.
It does. It's like, here you go. Like, now it's if the people want you or not.
Right.
Because people hit TV a lot and nothing happens for them.
That's very true.
They will sell a soul and do all type of craziness on TV, and then when the camera's cut off, you gotta go back to real life.
And that's a hell of a slap in the face.
And then you look crazy to the world.
Right. Exactly.
But Cardi B just gave you who she was, and you fell in love with that because she was real, she was true to herself, and the music came behind it. And that's what made it actually pop the way it did. I don't think Cardi B would be who she was right now without TV.
That's interesting.
I just don't think so. I think that was the icing on the cake that took her to stardom.
Right.
Because she had that platform. That platform is a V8. Love and Hip Hop is the #1 show for our culture right now.
Right. That's true.
And she shined like a star. And that's what happened. The music, it brought attention to her music.
Right.
She would tell you that people did not want to deal with her, not want to do features, no nothing until.
Yeah. I do agree because I directed a video for K Michelle before K Michelle went through the whole process of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. And she was in that same boat where it was like, okay, she signed to a label, it's cool, but we don't she wasn't at the level, right? And then once Love and Hip Hop Atlanta came, then boom. So yeah, the thread does make sense.
You wasn't with me at first. I'm glad you're here now.
Because you know what? I didn't watch her on Love and Hip Hop.
Right.
So that's why I was like,
Can I tell you something? I never watched Love and Hip Hop until I actually was on the show. To see myself, see what's going on.
What is this show actually
was like, let me see what's going. But this is the first time I ever watched TV, and
Really?
even Jill Zarin, she was on the Desperate Housewives of New York. And she was like, well, don't tell anybody that because that's stupid. Don't sign up for something you don't even know what the hell you're signing up for. So don't say that no more. But it is what it is.
What made you guys sign up for it if you didn't?
So I just felt like it was great for the group to let everybody know the group was back together, just to see the unity and us uniting on TV for the world to see. I just felt like it was cool. A little drama is in the mix, but who cares?
Right, it's nothing that's gonna make you. I mean, you guys had a career prior to, so that's interesting. I think it almost like rebooted though, right? Like to the point where it's like, oh, now you're back in the presence,
right, in the limelight.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
exactly.
So yeah, we felt like it would be a good opportunity to let the world know what we're doing.
That's interesting. Well, that's dope. So what's next for Spec? Where do you see Adwizar going?
So I definitely think that Adwizar is going to be the go-to brand when it comes to growing the social media. Cut out the whole let me hire a social media guru that you're going to pay $7,500, $10,000 a month and they're not going to give you no damn results. So now we're going to give you a team that's going to execute your vision, your story, and make you famous. Yeah.
True that. Well, you dropped some gems today. I feel like I learned a lot. Cool. Well, thank you so much for being with us. And again, if you guys don't know, Adwizar, the website is...
Right. It's adwizar.com. Or you can text me, 786-258-6074. Once again, 786-258-6074. You can text me. I send you my link. Make sure you lock your number in my phone. I don't answer back people I don't know. So lock your number in. Put your information.
The combo with Spec was off the chain. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, because on the real, I want to keep this conversation going. And so in continuing this discussion of social media influencers in the marketing world, I've got my boy Mick Batyske, DJ, influencer, marketer, and investor to some of the hottest startups out there. How you doing, Mick?
I'm great. How are you?
I am amazing. So I want to get into your career as a DJ first. How did you break into the entertainment industry?
DJing was a hobby of mine dating back to when I was in college, like 1,000 decades ago, because I'm super old. I'm like 1,000 years old. And it was just a hobby that became a dream, and then it became a career. And then I used it to pay for grad school. I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Ohio. I live in New York now. And I realized when I finished grad school, I had a chance to actually do something with this. So I decided to throw all my eggs in one basket and see what could happen. And then it just kind of became reality. It was just like I just took a leap of faith, and I had the education and the hustle to like turn my dream into an actual career.
Tell me some of the people you've worked with.
I've worked with a lot of fun people. In so many different ways. I've done parties for. I used to do parties for Jay-Z and LeBron. I just did Miguel's wedding a couple months ago. He's a homie. He's pretty amazing. I've done parties for brands like Twitter and Spotify and all these amazing, brands like that. Every shoe company in the world you can imagine I've done. Actors, NBA players, Super Bowl parties. I DJ'd something for the Grammys once, like at their actual thing. I've had a very fortunate career.
That's dope. How did you get those brand partnerships and start working with those big name celebrities? What was that journey like?
Entertainment in general is a very relationship-driven game. It's a very PR-driven game. And if you can have a brand that kind of sits in between both of those tent poles, you can kind of win. And I've always I'm a people-first individual, so I've always put people relationships above business relationships. And then that sort of kindness begets opportunity. And then I always had the right branding and, marketing to back that up. And then, of course, the third component of that is you can't suck when you get there. And then I would go there, and after all of those things, set the foundation and the first floor, then I just went and built the house on top of it with my talent.
When did you start investing?
Maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
And what are some of those investments that you've had so far?
I'm currently in 6 things. Well, actually, just technically 5 now because one of them just sold, which is pretty awesome. I was an Anchor, which I know you're a big fan of, and you use a lot. So we're grateful to people like you for using the platform. And that just got bought by Spotify, which is awesome. And my kid can now go to college, so yay. I may have 15 more years, but
start him young.
That needs to, that needs to, that's going to happen. I'm putting that out there onto the Dash Airways for you right now for all the Harvard admission or Stanford. I'm easy. I'm easy for both. I love both coasts. But anyways, so yeah, there's Anchor. There's a really, really dope company based in Portland called Dash. They produce like VR and AR robots and experiential shit for brands. They're super, super dope. I'm in a travel app called Localer that does a bunch of stuff. I'm in a company called Barber Surgeons Guild, which is a men's wellness company. What else am I in? Wink, super, super dope wine curation service that I really love. I drink way too much wine, but it's kind of awesome because I could write it off because I'm an investor.
I feel that.
And then I think there's something else. Oh yeah, Backdrop. It's actually my favorite thing I'm in right now. It's a really dope paint company. The Instagram is just at Backdrop, and basically we've solved all the pain points of like people doing like home redecoration and painting. It's like normally like you know how like every couple of years somebody comes along that solves something, like Warby solved for glasses and Uncle Way solved for luggage. Well, we solved for paint because like think about when you buy paint, you got to walk into like some shitty Home Depot and some creepy dude in an orange apron comes up to you and he's like, and then you got to bring home all these cans and you forget to get the fucking like stirrer and you got to get in your car and go all the way, like we solved all that. Like you can see more when you check it out. But yeah, it's just, I think that's what's really, I'm really, really big on the DTC space right now, like the consumer space. I think that's a fascinating space. And it's also, my skill sets and my relationships lend themselves well to helping companies in that space. So I tend to look towards those sort of companies.
How do you choose which investments you want to make?
It has to be an idea that I'd like, but let's be real, the idea is going to change 2 or 3 times maybe even before the product comes out, and it might change 2 or 3 more times after it comes out.
Truth.
It has to be a founder that understands the power of brand, meaning you can have the greatest idea in the world, but if you don't understand branding, no one's going to ever see it or hear it or care about it because we live in a society where people want to feel emotionally connected to their purchases because people have so many choices. So you have to really identify with people on like a really intrinsic level. Nobody just cares about having the best quality of stuff. They want to have the story. They want to have the feel because if they're going to spend premium money for your shit, they want to have like an aspirational experience with it.
Right.
So they have to understand. They absolutely have to understand that. And third, I have a really good douchebag dickhead detector. and if you fit anywhere on that spectrum, I can't really fuck with you. But if you don't, then we could potentially do stuff. And I've just learned that and just being an American.
I feel that. How did you get involved in the Anchor investment?
Good relationships. I knew a friend who knew a friend, and we were hanging out one day, and I met some other friends. And then one day I got a call, and they said, this is really interesting. You should take a look at this. And I took a look at it, and I thought it really was interesting. This is way before they had pivoted to a podcasting. They were just simply an audio app at the time, but it was a pretty cool idea. But more importantly, the team was really fucking strong. Like the team was awesome, like just A+, like A+++ human beings, and I really enjoyed spending time with them. So I was convinced.
That's awesome. What is the most interesting brand collab that you would say that you've done? And what was that process like actually booking that collaboration?
I think my favorite brand collab I've done, I don't know if it's most interesting, but my favorite one is how I'm going to answer it because I'm super tired and I don't know what it was. They're all interesting, they're all interesting in their own way, right?
Right.
I think that, I guess this actually technically would qualify as the most interesting. It was definitely the most largest scope. I did a partnership with Cadillac maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and it was pretty amazing because I got to go. First of all, it was just amazing. I got a car for a year, got paid really nice amount of money, and more importantly, I got to just really be part of a brand that I really enjoyed. It's sometimes when you get approached to do things with brands, like 1 or 2 things happens. It's either like the product sucks and the money's good, or the money sucks and the product's good. And you kind of have to pick your poison, right? You have to be like, and so a lot of people, they straddle the line and do both. This was a situation where for me on my business side, it just really made a lot of sense for me economically. And my son was just born, so it was awesome to have a car. We live in New York where you don't need a car, but if someone gives you a car, then
I'll take it.
But also from a brand perspective, it completely just identify with all like the tenets of my brand. And so it was just a perfect synergy. And I would do it again in a second if they're listening. But it was just an awesome. It was just perfect. It was a great example of when everything aligns correctly, what you can create.
What was the process like when you booked the job?
My life is super relationship based. I don't even remember how that happened, but it was probably I did a party for somebody or I met somebody, and then I'm a people person first and foremost, and that's what drives my business.
So that's literally the key takeaway, right? It's like making sure that you have these established relationships and then leveraging the relationships. Do you feel like, because I feel like a lot, especially working in LA, like a lot of the times people come to you and they're like, hey, what can you do for me? I feel like LA is a very what can you do for me city. Do you feel like by way of you building these relationships, you had to add value first?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely think so. You can't just ask people to do shit for you and not do anything back for them. I try to always, do things for people first. But that could be something for me as easy as sending you a playlist of the party I just did for you, right? And so you're grateful for me for doing a good job for you and also giving you something as a takeaway. So now, you'll want to do something for me. But it's not necessarily about just like, I do something for you, you do something for me.
Transactional.
Just like,
yeah.
Can you just... I mean, that happens, of course, but it's more like what is the foundation that you're setting up? I have millions of relationships where I've never gotten a single thing from it, but I've been able to either just set them up with somebody else, give them some advice, actually become a human being friend where we actually do human being things, or our kids are friends, or all sorts of random shit like that. So it's just and you never know, because that's the same person in 20 years who's going to meet somebody on a retirement cruise who's going to call you and be like, you should know this person and change your life again 20 years down the road. My life is a series of, I could tie back, and I won't first, just, in the spirit of brevity, but I could tie back experiences and opportunities that have happened to me in 2018, dating back to somebody I randomly met through happenstance in 2007. If you really just go through the DNA and lineage of it. And it's weird, but it's actually really cool because I feel that means I'm treating people right.
Yeah, that means you're a good person. You have good credibility out there. So I would say just visually, when I see your content, it's visually very strong. And then just social, you're active. Why do you think it's important to have an online presence like that?
Oh, I mean, because it's everything now, right? I think having what your social media says about you is what people perceive to be your real life. I decided to actually make sure my social media reflected my real life, which is a novel concept in 2019. But it's very true. And I mean, it's definitely the better photographed selection of my real life, but it's all my real life, And I think people look to that and appreciate it, and they see the authenticity of it. If you look at my Instagram, for example, I mean, I have a lot of shit going on outside of DJing, but DJing is what most people know me as, but it's not the end all be all what consumes my life. And I make sure I reflect the broad everything on my social channels. What I find is it actually inspires people to step out of their box and do other things. And I've had people tell me that oh, I'm a fitness instructor. Oh, I'm a chef, and I have all these other things that I'm interested in, and I'm scared to share them on my channels because people will think that that's off brand or whatnot. They're I've found a way to tell that whole story cohesively.
I think that's such an interesting point because I feel like there's two sides of that table, right? People are okay, be very niche, be very specific so people know what they're coming to you for. And then there's the well-rounded person where there's different entities and different aspects of you. So I'm glad that you hit up on that. So you do highly believe that you should show every aspect of yourself, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's situational. I think it depends on how you want to deploy yourself to the world. I mean, when you look on my Instagram, the first thing it says at the top are the 7 things that I do, or that kind of make up my life. My son being the first one. And so, I kind of set the tone instantly for these are the things I do. These are the things that I monetize. These are the things that make me happy. And these are the things that consume all my time. They all kind of tie together in some weird way, with, I guess, me being the common theme behind that. But they work. I think for certain people, depending on what you do, maybe you don't need to do that. But if that's what the essence of your brand is, and it's all stuff you're doing, I think it's absolutely beneficial to show. Now, also, things have to absolutely. There's limits and there's extremes to that. So, if you're a heart surgeon and your passion is hunting bears, that shit's weird. No, right? Nobody wants to see you save grandma and then kill a bear. And I'm very anti-hunting, by the way. So I'm just saying, You know what I mean? That's strange. That doesn't flow. That doesn't make sense. I see a lot of stuff like that where people are like, oh, look at all these things. Like, no, you're not telling a really normal story. There's no linear, like, you can't draw a line between it. You could draw a line with my life. And that's why I think it's believable, because it's real and people identify with that.
I love that. Like, showcasing the authenticity. That's great. So for someone trying to work with brands, what are some tips that you would give them?
I would say find brands that align with your both moral compass and your marketing compass, so you could feel good about working with them and they could feel good about working with you. There's nothing worse than when somebody lies to a brand and then the brand finds out that they are full of shit, and then that whole deal gets fucked from the beginning, and you already put all that time in, and so did they. That's just going to blackball you from wherever those people go in the future, because people change jobs all the time. And the person that hired you or didn't hire you in 2015 could be the guy that could hire you or not hire you in 2020. So it's important to like keep it pretty 100 with them, right? I would also say just be very mindful of what you're putting out there in general on your content, because brands can easily take a look at what you're doing and completely just like cut you from any potential considerations because you're doing some dumb shit. It's almost like don't fall on the sword, or don't bite the hand that feeds you. The social media beast allows us to have all these opportunities. Even you and I connected via that. I wouldn't even be on your show. Nobody would be hearing me from your amazing audience if social media didn't exist. But at the same time, you just people have to just be mindful of what they do. And you can't go a day in this news cycle without hearing about some dumb shit that happened on social media that completely fucked someone's life up that was completely preventable. So people just need to be mindful of that. And then I guess if I could give you one more tip, it would probably be open to new opportunities. Like maybe if your mind is dead set on working with Nike, but Nike doesn't know who the fuck you are and they don't care, and a brand underneath Nike that's maybe not Nike or Adidas, but still a really dope sneaker company that you would actually wear approaches you, you shouldn't decline it. And then maybe I'm kind of like going pie in the sky with like sneakers, but what I'm saying is everybody has to start somewhere too. And people notice you when you're ready to be noticed. And all that stuff has a sort of universal way of working out. So I've seen that happen a million times. I'm a really big believer in this Stoic philosophy, and my favorite book is The Obstacle is the Way. And what I've found in my life is that all these points that closed on me at one time actually ended up absolutely benefiting me in the future. And because something else great happened from that door being closed, you just have to be patient enough to stick it out and be smart enough to figure out what the secret meaning is there. But once you figure it out, it works out.
That's real gems. Wow. I was like taking notes. Well, thanks, Mick, for joining us. If somebody wants to know more about you, where can they go?
You can go to my Instagram, which is just at Mick, M-I-C-K. My website is mick.co, M-I-C-K.co. And my Twitter, unfortunately, is not at Mick, but I do know the guy. He's really nice. It's at I am Mick. So those are kind of like the three things. And I travel excruciatingly extensively, so I'm probably going to be in a city near you.
It's Life Hacks.
Life hacking, baby.
Tech tips and tools for everyday needs.
Tap in.
Control, copy these shortcuts, and simplify your life.
You heard us.
Okay, so let's jump into the best way to approach brands when you're ready and you feel absolutely comfortable. So first things first, understand that it is not about you. It's all about them connecting their product or service to your audience. And you're literally just the middleman delivering the message, right? So don't make it about you. Don't say, these are the things that I feel like are going to benefit me. And I know that, that seems very like a given, but a lot of people do that. They pitch a brand and they're like, yeah, I really feel like this would benefit me because I use this product consistently. It's like, they don't care. Like, they want to know how it benefits their audience or how it benefits your audience, because ultimately they want to convert your audience to their customers, right? So basically what you want to do is think of these things when you go into pitch. So here are some questions that you can ask them when you're ready to pitch. Are there any aspects of their reputation that they think would be interesting to enhance? So is there something that they've heard out in the social media hemisphere that they feel like by connecting with your audience that they can actually benefit from? So for example, they feel like there isn't a ton of diversity within their company and they know that you are talking about tech and you have a very diverse audience, they may come to you and be like, hey, can you do a 30-second spot that talks about Google and diversity, right? If they're trying to connect back to getting more diversity on their campus or within their ecosystem. And so those are some things that you can talk about. You can say, hey, my audience is this and this. They're millennials between the age of this and this. They consist of this demographic. And I really feel like by you tapping into my audience, you'll be able to hit those diversity numbers that you're trying to hit. So that's an example of an aspect of their reputation that they are trying to enhance, right? And so also you can ask, are there any key messages about their company that they want to urgently communicate? A lot of the times when businesses try to bring influencers on, it could be because they just launched a new campaign and they're like, we really believe that you represent that demographic for the campaign. And we want people to know that we target this type of person, right? So maybe they want to communicate their new products, their mission, initiatives to new markets that they haven't tapped into before. And that goes back to kind of tying into what I was speaking about, number one. But also maybe there's a very specific like product launch that they really think that you would be a great face for as like a brand ambassador, right? So again, think about the key messages that they're trying to target and ask them what they want to communicate. And then you can kind of get an idea of where they are. And this seeps into number 3, which is, in terms of brand images, what are their specific products that they're trying to position? Are there any aggressive sales goals that they're trying to make? And so if that's the case, maybe you shoot a spec commercial for them. So once you know the answers to this, maybe you do a 30-second spot, a 1-minute spot, hitting these goals and metrics that they've talked about, right? And what a spec commercial is essentially it's saying, hey, here's a 30-second spot, here's a minute spot that is not going to cost you any money, like the brand, and you're doing it for free because you want to create and establish the relationship and get the credibility. So essentially within that spec commercial, you start to gather their trust. You get to relate back to the brand. They get to see what you would actually look like associating with their brand. And you could even ask your potential audience to comment and tag a friend or tag other people so that you're actually driving traffic and they can see that you're actually a credible source that can drive traffic for their brand. So don't be afraid to do things for free. I know a lot of us are looking for the bag, but sometimes you can't secure the bag if you don't have the tools to secure the bag with, right? So make sure that you are creating content that they're going to be excited about, and that content can potentially turn into the bag. So lastly, don't get discouraged if you pitch and they turn you down. So many times people are trying to pitch and there's so many different variations and reasons why your pitch didn't go through. And that's fine. You just continue to pitch, stay consistent and be persistent, and eventually you'll get that shot. So I'm going to take you guys through a journey of what it's like to get propositioned by a brand or a corporation in terms of marketing, influencer marketing for them. So I'm signed to an agency. So what happens is the brand will reach out with an RFP. So they'll essentially say, we're looking for influencers who do this, that, and the third, right? The agency will come to those influencers that they think meet that demographic. And then essentially what will happen is the agency will submit them back to the corporation or brand. So if the brand is interested, they'll reach out and say, this is specifically what I need from that influencer. And they'll give you a breakdown. So they'll say, I need a 30-second spot within their feed. I need a 15-second spot within their IG stories. This is how much I'm going to pay for that. This is how much I'm going to pay for that, right? And so once that happens, then you do the work. You tag and write exactly, and I mean exactly, what they want you to write. You do not delineate from that, and you turn it in. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because a lot of people have pumped their Instagrams with numbers from bots and all these things, right? Corporations want to see the metrics. They're not just going to pay you. And if they do, I mean, hey, good for you. But they're not just going to pay you and expect the best. They want to see exactly what type of metrics you've delivered. They're going to ask you to screen grab your insights, and they're going to want to see how many hits you got, what type of interactions you had, what type of discovery you had, what type of impressions you had, how those people got to those impressions. So did they go through your stories? Did they go through your feed? They want all the data because they want to make sure that they're getting a return on their investment. So don't think you're slick by pumping your account full of bots, because when it comes down to it, you will get caught. Like it's inevitable, right? So just make sure you're completely honest about your account and what type of numbers you have. A lot of people will hire micro influencers, which means they're in a very specific niche, and that is totally fine for them. And those people have between 5 and 10,000 followers, but they're so niche down that the marketer or the corporation knows that they're going to get the return on their investment because those are exactly the people that they want to talk to. So sometimes those accounts with 1 million to 2 million followers are just too broad. So it definitely depends on who the company is, and don't feel overwhelmed if you don't feel like you fit the demographic of what a stereotypical quote unquote influencer is, right? So those are some tips for you guys if you're interested in influencer marketing and positioning yourself as a brand.
This is The Plug.
You know who's the plug.
It's time to get caught up on the hottest in tech.
Keep it locked, you heard?
With Sequoia Blodgett.
I see you, little mama.
My first company, 7 a.m., was launched in 2014, and it was a crazy ride. I literally spent 10 plus years as a commercial music video director, and that whole lifestyle was just insane, from going to shoots and understanding that everything had to be perfect every single time. The lighting had to be perfect. Artists had to look perfect all the time. And that mentality for me just became very, very draining. And it always felt like I was hustling and hustling and hustling. And so when I moved to Silicon Valley with this first company that I wanted to get off the ground, I was just very determined and focused on how to make this work. And I got into that same kind of process again of making it perfect and it having to look perfect and feel perfect and all of these things. And to be honest, that isn't what it was about. Nobody cared if I had the perfect product or the perfect app or the perfect platform or it looked beautiful or was stunning and sparkly and all of these things. They really just cared that it got them results. And so after several years, it wasn't getting results. It literally got to the point where I was getting sales, but I wasn't focused on sales. I was focused on the creative and making it feel amazing. And the sales weren't coming in the door. So eventually we had to close the doors. I became obsessed with trying to figure out how to get sales. What was the quickest line from getting somebody from point A to point B so that they were getting results? And I studied tons of entrepreneurs, Tim Ferriss, Gary Vee. I became obsessed with trying to figure out how these entrepreneurs were creating successful companies. And after a while, I got the answers. It was literally just making sure that the customers got results. That was it. You wanted to delight the customer and you wanted to get the customer results. The end. So I built out Commas because I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to get those same results for your customers. I wanted you to get from point A to point B in the fastest and most efficient way possible. So I built this company to help you guys. We cover everything from product to marketing to publicity and fundraising, but more importantly, we cover sales. So if you guys are interested in getting your companies off the ground and making sure your entrepreneurial journey is streamlined and is much more efficient than mine was, then log on to commastheseries.com or hit us up on our socials at Commas the Series. Until next week, it's your girl Sequoia, and I'm out.